Hey, how's it going? It's Grant
And Shelby.
with the Garden of Eater, and today we're talking about the perfect parameters for Neocaridina shrimp. And honestly, right off the bat, the perfect parameters are going to be within range that you can keep as consistently and keep the water changed as much as possible. And while doing both of those things, you'll have frequent, constant parameters, and your shrimp will be doing and thriving better than no other. However, what is that range? What does that exactly mean to you? I'm going to break down all of the individual parameters that we at least test, go over which ones I feel are the best for us, and then maybe give you guys some information on choosing what parameters would be the best for yourselves. So, right off the bat, I'll just talk about what we keep our shrimp here at the house. We're just doing Neocaridina tonight. We've been doing a lot of live streams about Caridina and different morphs and stuff like that. So I thought let's change it up a little bit, jump back to the basics of some Neocaridina shrimp. And us personally, we keep most of our Neocaridina shrimp outside, so the temperatures do fluctuate. But inside the house, we keep them at a steady 72 all year round. And then the parameters from the tap water, which gives up our TDS, KH, GH, and ammonia and stuff like that right off the bat out of the tap water, is going to be the same inside and outside. So for us, our tap water comes out around 170 total dissolved solids. When we add prime into the water, it bumps it up to around 180. When we go through and check the KH of the water, it's around 3 or 4. And then the GH is generally 7 to 8. And these parameters are what I find to be ideal and perfect. However, there is a bit of ammonia that does come out of our tap water. This is not ideal, but it's within a reasonable range. And with cycled filters and stuff like that, it doesn't really seem to affect our shrimp. And not long after it does the bacteria in the filter do its job and get that ammonia back down to 0. But other than that, the temperature straight out of the tap and stuff like that, we just pour the water back into the tank at a rate that it's not going to really fluctuate the temperature too much. They are Neocaridina, so it is not, imperative that they have to have the exact same temperature of water going in. Of course, if you do have the same temperature, it helps out a lot, but it's not like Sulawesi, where if you put in too cold of water, you're going to completely shock and kill off your shrimp. My man, Jeff Kane, hope you had a lovely Thanksgiving. You're starting off the holiday season with 10 memberships. You're the man. Thank you so much, Jeff. You got the lowdown on who got the memberships?
No.
Okay.
Usually I'm pretty on top of it.
We're a little late today. There's been a lot going on, but we'll catch up.
Welcome, Linda, Frank, Nancy B, Johnny Best, Chris Ladd, Passing Win, QJF, Robert Downey Jr., SC Catahoulas, Mountain Greenery, and that is it, I believe. I don't know if that was 10, but that's all I can see on my end. So.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jeff. And then everybody who got a membership, you can email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com. Did they get a whole bunch of thigh right there? Or did I get off camera for that? All right. At thegardenofeater@gmail.com. Send us your name, address, and we will send you your exclusive TGOE holographic sticker. And that, of course, also comes with a 10% off discount code for our website, tgoeshrimp.com. And you can use that discount code right now during our Black Friday sales. So if you'd like that coupon code earlier than your sticker, you let us know. We can send you the code early and then send your sticker with your order. So back to the topic. Or did we have something else? No, thank you, Jeff. So we're talking about total dissolved solids. I add a little bit of prime. The GH and KH and ammonia is the only real issue out of the tap water. But with a good cycled aquarium, that's not really an issue. I talked about keeping the temperatures inside the house at 72 instead of outside where it's really, fluctuating with whatever temperatures Florida feels like having that day. With inside temperatures, we keep them kind of like a hospital. We don't want it too cold that the shrimp are uncomfortable, but the colder you keep it, the less chances of having fungal or bacterial infections with your shrimp. Those issues aren't really like a big problem or something that's common. It's more likely because something got too hot too quick. One of the shrimp maybe died and you didn't pull it out, and the ammonia started to creep, and then that could cause issues with the immune system, and that can be compromised. And then, fungal and bacterial infections can definitely be a thing there, especially if it's deep in their gut and they're, like a first or second generation from imported stock. You can definitely see that fungal come out still, even, 2 or 3 years down the line. But homebred shrimp, you shouldn't have that issues, but bacterial is always going to be an issue. If you overfeed your aquarium and you disrupt the substrate by pouring in the water too fast on a water change, or you took out a large plant that had a massive root system and you just stirred up all of that gunk that was below that substrate layer, is now airborne, polluting the water, compromising the shrimp's immune system. And basically it's like a domino effect where one shrimp causes the next shrimp to die. And you can get ahead of that with massive water changes, and it's not really an issue. But without touching your substrate and keeping your temperature right around 72, bacterial infections almost never happen. It's very rare. I don't think we've had a bacterial infection problem in like over a year. So it's definitely preventable as long as you just take the proper precautions outside. Even when the temperatures get into the 90s, I'm talking water temperature here in Florida, can definitely get in the hundreds. And some of our smaller black barrels, they definitely get into the low 90s in temperature. And those shrimp hardly ever have any issues. Mainly the only issue is when you leave the hose running for too long. So other than that, the shrimp thrive outside. And here, as we get into the colder months, their metabolism starts to slow down. They're not breeding as quickly. They're not growing as fast. They're not eating as much. But even when the temperatures drop down to, say, 70 is nothing, 27 degrees, and some of the water temperatures, it drops into the low 30s, and you get a little bit of ice in the water. Then you're talking, still no issues as long as the shrimp can get access to oxygen. There can be ice on top of the surface and no problem at all. So these things are really temperature tolerant, and as long as you're within a minimum range, those are the parameters that we keep our shrimp at. Are they the best? Are they the most ideal? I don't quite believe so. We have the ability to mix up RO water and use some salty shrimp minerals. The GHKH blend would be the method that you would use for Neocaridina shrimp. Since you're using inert substrates, the KH in the water is needed to keep the pH stable. As long as you have something there to buffer the pH, you don't necessarily need the KH, but the KH is like the easiest, cheapest way. Most of us, 90% of you, will probably have tap water that has enough GH and KH in the water that is just fine for your Neocaridina. There's like 10% of you that their water comes out super soft, or they have a water softener, and it's best to use RO water and mix up your salts. So by doing that, I would mix the water to around 220 total dissolved solids. It gives you around 7 to 9 GH and 3 to 5 KH. But for me, that optimal 220 TDS, I found the Neocaridina to just thrive. I did see a little bit of slowdown in growth and stuff with lower TDS, and I didn't see any advantage with higher TDS than 220. So 220 without spending more money on minerals than is needed, I thought was the optimal parameters for us to keep. But like I mentioned, for everybody, If it's a problem for you to mix water and you can't really stay on top of it and keep things consistent, you got to stay on top with what's the easiest thing for you to do. And that is by far tap water if it's right. But if you don't have the right tap water and you got to mix it up, we couldn't possibly continue to mix up the Neocaridina water with RO water. So we're doing all tap water for everything. But if you had to mix it up and do it that way, it's just fine. But make sure you have something in the water that's going to buffer the pH. It's really the only thing, because a lot of the Neocaridina substrates out there are inert, like I mentioned. Um, and then, depending on what your tap water is, you might not have to go all the way down to RO water if there's no water diffuse softener on your system and you just have really low minerals in your water in general. Then you would be okay with adding some GHKH into your water, and just test the TDS of your tap water before you do your water changes. Generally speaking, ours dances around to 170. It doesn't really fluctuate more than 10 TDS. So we test the water beforehand. If it ever fluctuate like over 40 TDS from what it originally is, even over 10, I'd be kind of cautious. That generally means that the water treatment plant is, cleaning out the pipes or swapping filters or, doing a flush, and that can kill off fish, shrimp, a lot of things. Generally, a lot of corrosion in the pipes and stuff like that ends up in the waterways. And some people are lucky enough that their water companies will give them alerts and let them know when this happens. Others are not. And that's why I just use a simple TDS pen and I always check beforehand. Got anything for me? No? Oh, man.
Just talking to Richard about the fish that he gave us.
All right. So now when we talk about the TDS, this is obviously going to vary for everyone depending on their, total dissolved solids within their tap water, or what they prefer to mix up their salts to and stuff like that. A lot of people will say the most important parameter to test is GH. And yeah, realistically speaking, if you don't have the proper amount of GH in your water, your shrimp are not going to live. But if you just simply know what your water makeup is made up of and test your water going into it, you know that you're going to have at least the minimum required GH going in it. Whether you're mixing your salts, you know that you get 7 GH with 220 TDS. So you never really need to test the GH. It's much easier to just dip a TDS pen in the water and go, all right, I'm at 220 TDS. I have to be around 7 GH, which is more than enough GH for any of the Neocaridina shrimp, tiger shrimp as well. Now, with the KH, that's going to be a little bit different because your salts and stuff like that, you're going to want to make sure that they're either high enough for the pH to be stable, or it's got to be completely out of the system, so that way whatever you're using, crushed corals or something else, you can keep Neocaridina in lower pH, but it's not really recommended because a lot of people, the pH fluctuates more than what they can maintain, and it's a lot easier to just keep them in a neutral pH than lower pH. So a lot of people maintain their KH rather than worrying about some type of buffering thing, whether it be peat moss, aqua soil, or you could go the other route and do crushed coral and limestone, but like those are going to break down if you don't have KH in the water. So you might as well double up and use KH. I highly recommend keeping KH of at least 3 when keeping Neocaridina. It's just the easiest route to go and the highest longevity of your tanks.
I love this question. Mimic said, have you ever felt like you had a tank that was cursed? I have a 5-gallon fluval kit tank that nothing does well in. I'll have more to add, but character limit.
All right, you had more time to think about this question. Do you have a tank off the top of your head?
No, not like in particular. I know that there's tanks that have taken way longer to cycle. and that was atrocious. And it's like you did the 30 days, but for some reason the soil decided it was not ready. So having a couple die-offs there. But that's certain substrates that have had that happen. And it feels like it's a curse. Like you're like, why is this happening? These shrimp are just fine, but it's...
Are kids a curse? Have you heard about the curse of the quesadilla?
Stop it.
No. Off the top of my head, there's been like 2 times where I just couldn't figure out why the shrimp are dying. Do I think it's cursed? No. Do I think there's other elements in the water that we just don't test for? Yes. There's also other factors like the kid curse thing again. Like, did they add something to the tank that I didn't know about? Did they shoot a Nerf gun bullet into like one of the art supplies and then shot it into one of the tanks? And you never know what happens. So I wouldn't say cursed. Eventually, all of our tanks have turned around, and some of the ones that I thought were cursed or just not ever going to work, we just simply moved them or threw something else in the tank, and they're booming. And now, like, our coal tank is one of the nicer Pinto tanks on the rack. So it's like things turn around.
Yeah, even aquatic moose.
But like a 5-gallon fluval tank, it's just 5 gallons. It's just smaller than what you want to use, honestly. It's just difficult.
Aquatic Moose even said, I helped with the fluval spec and figured out it was the pine needles crashing the tank and the substrate. And it's just like the smallest little things sometimes can happen like this that shouldn't be affecting it, but it is. Like I've seen people put peat moss in their tank and not realize that it lowers the pH, but it only does it for so long. So then all of a sudden their pH went, lower for a little bit and then just spiked back up.
Another kid curse. We couldn't figure out what happened with one of the aquariums. Finally decided, all right, let's break it down, replace everything, and start with a brand new tank in that spot because we only had so much space at that time. We didn't think we can get over 150 aquariums. Jokes on that, Grant. But we tore down the tank, and behind the sponge filter, I found a rusted old car, like a toy car. So you never know what you're going to find in that aquarium. I've heard people find a penny underneath the substrate. So
I think someone just recently had...
also probably had kids.
Mimic said, I use the same water for do all my Neo tanks. Black roses and aquatic isopods were the last to go in the tank. Both suffered a few casualties. Sometimes it really is like, for some reason, I think it's smaller tanks. They need a little bit longer to cycle. They're more prone to having spikes, especially when you have a smaller tank like that. You just have higher chances for spikes if just one little thing goes wrong.
Also, like, check the pH in the morning and at night. Maybe there's not enough KH in the water in that little 5-gallon aquarium, and the pH is fluctuating more than the other tanks. I don't think that should be an issue for the black rose, but maybe the aquatic isopods would suffer from that. Also, I don't think the aquatic isopods like it warm, so I'll keep them on the colder side as well. Back to me?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I briefly talked about pH, but in other countries in Asia, they keep the Neocaridina in ponds outside, and the ponds are known to have lower pH than we keep the Neocaridina over in the United States. So that's why I don't really think the pH matters, but what matters is what is easiest for you to take care of. Their tap water comes out with the ability to keep low pH and it's just consistent and stable. I don't know like how their systems are, but I believe like they're pulling water off of the creeks straight into their ponds and then out the other door, similar to what they do here out in the fish farms in Florida. But the difference is here in Florida, we're pumping out hard water. They're pumping out soft water. There's very few stagnant swamps and stuff like that where the organics and the leaf litter and stuff like that where it drops the pH low enough, but it's still got like high KH in the water from all the limestone. And pretty much every body of water is encased in limestone here in Florida. So that's why their method of keeping the water their way in the low pH works, and they're able to just constantly flush new water into their systems. I honestly believe shrimp are going to breed and grow faster the more water you flush. It's same with a lot of fish, a lot of fry. Just more water changes is going to be better for overall growth, survival rate, and the end game on how big that fish is actually going to get, or and so on. So the ability to flush out the water and do it in a matter that you're replacing the exact same parameters with the new water coming in. You might be replacing a little bit of ammonia and nits and stuff like that, but you shouldn't be replacing or changing the temperature or GH, TDS, or KH or pH or anything like that. So as long as you're able to maintain the water and change your water out, their shrimp are going to do really well. These Neocaridina are the easiest of all the shrimp that we have to keep and breed, except maybe the Opaula. But like when you take into the consideration that you have to mix the salts, it's pretty much easier to do the Neocaridina. So the pH, pretty much just use some inert substrate and keep some KH in the water, and you're never really going to have to worry about the pH with your Neocaridina. We never test for it. We just know that a neutral pH is easy to maintain, and it's going to bounce maybe between 7 and 7.4, but it's never going to drop into the low 6s and swing into the 8s or anything like that. And that's all you really need for the Neocaridinas to thrive and do well with the pH wise.
Here for the comment says, you ever done a water change and crash your tank?
Yeah, it's happened. Most of the time it's because of temperature. I have lost an entire discus tank back in the day where I did water changes all the time like I used to normally did. And then, I never checked my TDS before my water changes. I was just doing tap water. They're domesticated discus. It wasn't the same ones we got from Dr. Anthony. And I had just done my tap water changes 90% every, 3 or 4 days or so. And then one time the entire tank crashed. Never really figured out, tested water parameters afterwards. Of course, ammonia was high, but nothing else like that was off the charts. But we almost killed and wiped out an entire colony of Shelleys because I forgot to put I did it because I forgot to put a heater in the tank. Layla tried to do a water change with the quesadilla. Other than that, I really can't think of any water changes on shrimp side. Oh, Shelby.
I was like, are you not going to say anything about
the machiobranchiums? Oh, man.
No, they were prawn shrimp.
That was the machiobranchiums. Yeah.
I forgot prime. So dechlorinator is a big thing if you're using tap water.
After she talked so much smack about how we needed to get rid of these things and they're taking up space.
They were so boring.
They're creeping me out.
55 it wasn't creeping me out. They were just boring. For a 55-gallon tank, I wanted to see something swimming around, and you refused to put fish in it with them. So I was saying that it was just boring. So
I was trying to breed them.
I didn't mean to do it on purpose.
I needed a 55.
I'm lucky I didn't kill everything else that day. Like, I don't understand how I did just
surprisingly, she didn't kill anything else that day.
I would never purposefully ever kill a shrimp, a fish, a scud I will kill. But, like, living creatures I usually will never. And the scud, I don't even do that on purpose. Like, I've accidentally squished a lot of them. Unless they're in a shrimp tank, then they got to go. Got to go. Mimic said, it's a 5-gallon fluval kit tank that I got when I thought it worked for shrimp. It's been established for months, and I've only used it as holding at this point. I'm getting where I just want to sell it. Maybe we can go through a checklist and see what we can go through the whole tank. And then if we get to the bottom of the checklist and we can't figure out what's wrong with it, maybe it's to the point where you're just like, yeah, let's move on. Let's get a 10-gallon. Let's do something else. So. But it's always good to go over every basis, even with a friend or someone else, over every parameter and what's in the tank.
Also, what's been working for me is on the shrimp tanks that didn't really breed well. I gave them the Shelby, and Shelby kept some fish in there for a while. And then after her fish got evicted, the shrimp that goes in those tanks afterwards have done really well. So maybe the cycle wasn't
It's the weirdest.
correct, or there wasn't enough organics in the ecosystem, or I don't know what it is exactly, but that's a very rare occasion.
Sometimes I think if you keep a tank that small too clean as well, like I really do highly believe that some of the shrimp tanks that are way too clean, I mean, at 30 days we did a water change and it's cycled and it's ready to go. Well, you put shrimp in there, there's literally nothing for them to graze on. There's some like little biofilm, but you got to think they're constantly grazing, they're constantly picking on something. So some of these shrimp tanks that we have put fish into, I fed for a little bit. There's other organisms that are in this tank now that they're actually feeding off of. So sometimes it could just be like they have no source of food, but that's also something you got to be tricky with. And that's a powder food that you would want to get started. But
I'm also
that
like
tank, so no.
I'm also going to double down on the Malaysian trumpet snails because we seeded Layla's room with the Malaysian trumpet snails,
so much
and her tanks that are well seeded are thriving. Like they're doing really, really well. These tanks here that we tried to keep snail free are doing crappy, except for the ones where the snails invaded, and we've been feeding like the snails on top of feeding the shrimp. So like I'm a true believer, if you're cycling or setting up a tank 2 weeks in, add a bunch of snails and start feeding a small amount of food just to get those snails into high gear. You don't want that food sitting around for too long. So I hope the voice isn't off the charts.
It is. It's all over the place. It's always like that every night. One of our 55-gallon tanks that does phenomenal with shrimp is like chock full of Malaysian trumpet snails. I mean, they're in that substrate. They're shuffling through all that. I don't know. Detritus. There we go.
Detritus is like some old lady that lives down the road that has a bunch of cats.
We have another daughter. We'll just name her Detritus.
We could name her Detritus. Nobody will know except for the people at the fish club. No, we'll name our son the son Detritus. So it'd be a horrible name for a girl. It sounds like a girl's name though. An old lady.
Thorn Trav said, "Will my guppies eat baby Neos? Some guppies do, some don't. I've had my you gotta stop fidgeting. My volcano guppies definitely did. I would say if you want fish with your Neos, I would say stick with like Endlers or small Rasboras. They seem to do a little bit better. Guppies are pretty ferocious and they got a big old mouth. They're definitely a predator compared to other fish.
But it doesn't mean you can't have both of them breeding in the same tank. It's definitely doable. We have tanks where it's going on, but they definitely breed a lot more when you don't have a predator in the tank. The guppies might breed more because of the shrimp.
Coro said, speaking of Opa'ula and the isopods, how long until you have enough for shipping again? You're teasing me with all these out-of-stock critters. We are really bad right now. We are like sold out of almost all of our shrimp. It's insane, like especially Neos. Like the list is dwindling down. We had a lot of Black Friday sales and just say incredible support this year. Thank you for a lot of you actually in chat tonight are the ones who helped out with that. But we definitely need to breed up and get some more breeding and water changes going on. Opa'ula and the isopods, you might reach out to us personally on those and let us know how much you actually wanted those, and we might be able to work something out on those.
I think I got sawdust in my eye.
Yeah, I like definitely have some.
Had sawdust in my eye.
Go figure that out.
If you would like to reach out to us, I definitely can let go of some Opa'ula. The isopods, though, I might have somebody on the wait list for that, and then I can let some of those go. But yeah, I think the eye is good. I think we can move on. I think we're fine.
Okay. Richard said, I don't see the new fish on the website. You can't keep them all, Shelby. I know. I haven't had the time. We've been working on the house, but I will get them up as soon as possible. The problem is getting pictures and things like that, but definitely want to get those on there.
Since you've been gone, or since you've been here.
Why'd you sing that?
I don't know. I wanted to like really sing it, and then I didn't commit. We've finished the pool. The Fence is 80% done, and we have everything we need for the decking to start. So tomorrow, I'm hoping the deck will be completely finished. And also, on top of that, we've been taking care of a ton of Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales and orders today and Saturday. So, and we had 2 Thanksgivings. So it's quite a nice week, if I must say. We accomplished quite a bit, um, and I thought this would be a great live stream to start off a new week. You got anything else for me? Oh, here it is.
And here for the comments says, how do subtle water changes variations impact Neocaridina shrimp molting, and what measures enhance a successful molting cycle?
So, honestly, the Neocaridina variations to impact them on molting is going to be like if you don't have enough GH in the water. So if you're not having over 5 GH is really going to be the only reason why your shrimp aren't going to be molting properly. So if you're not doing enough and your supple water parameter variations are because you're only doing small amount of water changes, they're probably not molting because you're not doing enough water changes. So to enhance a successful molting cycle, I would make sure that the GH is above 5. I'd make sure I'm doing at least 10 to 20% water changes every week. And if that's not working, you can surely bump it up to 30 or 40%. It's not going to be a problem. We personally do around 40% water changes every other week. There are, some times where we are not able to do them every other week and we go a whole month, like what we're probably going to be doing now with most of our stuff since we've been traveling and then trying to catch up with all the touch-ups on the house that we just haven't been able to do proper procedures with everything. So usually when we're doing catch-up, we're doing like 60% water changes on the Caridina inside or like 90% water changes on the ponds outside. And it's never been an issue for us. So if you're having molting issues, increase your amount of water changes you're doing, reduce the amount of time in between your water changes, make sure you have the at least 5 GH, and if your GH is barely 5, bump that up to 7 or 9. Or if it's at 7, bump it up to 9. Sorry. And then if all of those check out and you're still having issues, the shrimp envy food, the shell, is literally a mineral food just to help your shrimp with their molting problems. If you have the ring of death or anything like that, try out that shrimp envy food line. On top of that, we also use the mineral junkie. So we have 2 mineral foods that are within our rotation of foods, and that alone we've never really had a tank with the ring of death issues. You're gonna get a shrimp with ring of death, no matter if you do perfect conditions or what. Just sometimes it's their time to go, and they out the door and whatnot. But a lot of the times, you're gonna get an entire colony of ring of death if you actually have something off, or you'll see shrimp get stuck in molts and stuff like that. It's not uncommon for that, to happen if you have a ton of tanks, but it shouldn't be happening to all of your shrimp or the same shrimp multiple times and stuff like that. So
Yeah, and it doesn't seem to be much of the water parameters as it is feeding and not having enough to molt. Like, sorry.
proper diet.
Yes, but I'm trying to think of the proper thing that helps them molt. It's not
The
protein.
chitin.
It's
The chitin is what
I believe
is
so.
built up, but
Mhm.
the mineral
Minerals.
content
Thank you.
is
Minerals.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Aquatic Moose said, "What temperature is in?" Did you answer that full thing right?
Yes.
Okay. What temperature is a Neo's favorite?
So I like to do right around 70 to 72 degrees. We might as well talk about temperature now. We had a little bit of discussion earlier, and we were trying to figure this out. But shrimp have this thing. There's other creatures out there. I believe fruit flies are the same way, where if you keep them in a warmer climate, they will grow faster, they will breed faster, but they will have a shorter lifespan. Where if you keep them in a colder climate, they will breed a little bit slower, grow a little bit slower, but in the end, the trade-off is they end up living a little bit longer. So they might end up having the same amount of babies either way, but it just takes them a lot less time in warmer water to have that amount of babies. So the problem with warmer water then becomes you open yourself up to fungal bacterial infections a lot more the warmer the tank. So you have to make sure that you're not messing with the substrate, you're not overfeeding, you're not doing either one of those things, and keeping on top of proper water changes to avoid having any immunity system compromise or anything like that. Sorry, my brain is slipping. You got something else for me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's where I was going for it. There is a word or a term for that. Shelby believes it's poikilotherm or poikilotherm. I don't know. But are
Which
they
means
ectotherm?
That the individual for it's aquatic and like newts and things like that. So it's like crustaceans, crabs, newts, and I believe salamanders and frogs. So all in that same family, that they can regulate their body temperature with the cold and the hot in both situations, and like certain animals that cannot do that. I didn't explain that very well.
But like that term didn't stick out in my memory. It's not what I thought the answer was. I thought somebody Mark is also here helping us out with the house. I thought one of them could look it up while I was making my notes, and they would just say the word, and I would go, "Thank you." So maybe there's another terminology for it, because I believed when he looked up that word, the exact definition, and let me just pull it up, because I did find what I thought would be the exact definition, but I couldn't find the actual scientific term, where temperature greatly affects their metabolism, meaning that they grow faster but have shorter lifespans at higher temperatures, and they live longer but breathe less at lower temperatures. So if anybody can find the exact scientific word that brings up that definition, I'll give you like a $50 gift card. It's got to be first person. It can't be in the chat because we don't have time to like pull that up. So you can email us, you can comment it down in one of the things, but wherever I can get like a timestamp of the actual answer, I'll give you a gift card. And if it's Shelby's actual answer, she gets the $50 to spend it on whatever she likes, aka the orchid Lego that I couldn't get you the other day. So she wouldn't let me buy it for her. She'd rather spend the money on the kids, which one of them definitely doesn't deserve it. But we're not going there.
Justin said, "Hey guys, I'm starting a new 40-gallon breeder tank, and I just bought a bunch of samurai substrate. Do you guys know if that is inert, or would it work with Neos and Caridinas?"
So the shrimp on the container is our shrimp.
You're supposed to say fun fact.
Fun fact. The shrimp on the container is ours. So if we didn't know the answer to this question, it would be horrible, right? So the samurai soil is inert. And fun fact, the reason why we got the logo the way we did was because they had a crystal shrimp on there. So when we got the substrate ourselves to test out, I was expecting full blown for it to buffer and lower the pH of the water, where it did not. And instead of me complaining and, going off like on how I usually do, I decided to approach it a little bit differently and going, "Hey, are you getting a lot of complaints about this not lowering the pH of your water?" And they're like, all of the feedback is that it doesn't buffer. And I was like, there's a simple fix for this. Just simply take the crystal shrimp off and put on the Neocaridina, and you should put on there that it's inert. And they did not put that it's inert on there, but I don't know if I told them that it should be on there. And it says it. Man, I can't remember the exact promotes or no, it doesn't promote, but it says something about
You
it
just
being
go grab
like acidic.
one of the 20 to
Uh,
200 containers.
but it's more like it doesn't affect the acidic buffering abilities of your other substrates or whatever you're using. So it's basically saying it's inert, but it's like leaning on the side that it wants to buffer your substrate, but it or buffer your water, but it doesn't. It's our favorite Neocaridina substrate, though. The look of it and the actual cleaning, like factor that you don't have to clean the substrate, you can use it. And then when you want to clean the substrate, it's heavy enough that it doesn't get, sucked up in your siphon or anything like that. So, and it's a gray color, so the blue and black rose Neocaridina kind of pop on it.
Colorblind.
It's not black.
It's
Put
not
it up.
black. It's like a brownish black.
No, it's like a gray. It's not brown. You're colorblind.
It looks.
Let us
natural.
know in the chat if it's brown or gray.
It's more of a brown.
But if you go over there and you look at our Eco Complete, it's definitely black. It's
100%.
a gray. But then go look at our brown Akadama, and that's brown. Like that's gray.
There's different shades.
There's different shades of gray.
Get out of here. I'm done with you tonight already. It is really nice. It's really clean and very good.
So
but I
fresh,
would
so
not
clean,
use it for
clean.
Caridina. It would not be. There are certain Caridina that could be on there.
If you wanted to do Samurai soil on the floor and then had the UGF boxes, the undergravel filter box with your substrate, and then you never had to replace the substrate on the floor, that's a use that you could use it with Caridina, but it's never going to help the actual pH of the water. So
he also said, I'm also setting up a couple of other tanks because I would like to have Neos and Caridinas. Is it possible to do them in the same tank? I know it's not recommended, but can it be done successfully?
Yes, it can be done. We've had several tanks in the past where they worked. My favorite was the Blue Dream and the Tangerine Tigers. I, at one time, really liked the Gators, and that's the University of Florida colors. So that was the color scheme we went with, and they both did really well. I noticed that the Tangerine Tigers really did a little bit better than the Blue Dreams, but in the end, the two of them worked really well. But when I separated them, they both did way better than I ever thought they would be able to do in those parameters. So I highly recommend keeping them separate if possible, because we did red tigers with yellows, and that was a disaster. We did this and that, and one of the good tanks was the tank that Layla hit the quesadilla with. It was Aurora Blues and Black Rose. God, it must be that time of the year.
See someone to do raccoons with reds. Ooh, that would look so cool. Like little roses with their thorns. But anyways, I would say if you were to do Neos and Caridinas in the same tank, no less than a 40-gallon minimum, would you have like good success with them.
Yeah,
I think they become. 20s, I know, but they become territorial when they become a larger colony, and they seem to just outdo the other one. And it's not like they kill each other, they ravage. It just seems like one will be able to get the food more and just breed heavily compared to the other one, and I would just suggest a 40. That's like giving them more than. I mean, we still have Stardust down here breeding with other shrimp, and they're doing really great. But the Stardusts are taking over.
They're way out competing the other shrimp in the tank. Like
it just happens.
1,000 to 1.
It's not like the other ones just die. It's just they don't breed as much. It's like they kind of get stressed out or something.
Back to me.
Yes.
All right. So then we're going to talk about ammonia, nitrates, and nitrites. You're going to want these as low as possible, if not zero. And with shrimp tanks, that's definitely doable because you're going to have such a low bioload. As long as you're not overfeeding and you have a cycled filter, this is going to be quite doable. We took an aqua spin and ran it through the house, and all of the shrimp tanks came up 0 across the board. However, when we were testing the fish tanks, that was a different story. We definitely, have to balance those out and worry about that in fish tanks with the amount of food that we feed and stuff like that. But when you think about some of our shrimp tanks only get a single pellet every other day, we feed 5 or 10 times that amount to our fish every single day in some of our aquariums. So that amount of bio load is much, much smaller in a shrimp tank. And for that reason, you can get those levels near 0 across the board. You definitely want to keep your nitrates as low as possible. I don't know if it's nitrates or nitrites, but one of those has a tendency or possibility to burn the gills of the shrimp. And if you burn your lungs, you're not going to be able to breathe or breed. So it's basically the same with the shrimp. If you're going to have high amount of ammonia and nitrites, this is going to end up, costing your shrimp, whether it's not able to breathe enough oxygen or not breathe at all. Either way, it's going to reduce the amount of breeding and, cause it to all wipe out altogether. So make sure you have a cycled aquarium. Put some plants in the aquarium if you're still having issues with these levels. Floaters work great, but it's one of those things where you hate to have them, and once they're in your tank, especially duckweed, it becomes impossible almost to get them out. So one of our goals for the house in the beginning of the year, if you remember that live stream, was to get the duckweed out of the house. I'd say we've done it in 3 tanks, but then 3 other tanks got duckweed. So we're right where we started with that goal.
It's bad. It's my fault for sure. I don't want to get rid of the duckweed, but then I don't keep up with it, so it's just a lose-lose
you
situation.
take responsibility, and I just still have to feel bad about it. It's the hair.
Aquatic. Yeah, you did. You
the
were
oil's on my hair, and now it's just sticking straight up.
Stop.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Aquatic Moose said, "How can you tell the difference between tiny shrimplets and seed shrimps?"
Tiny shrimps look identical to the adult shrimp. Seed shrimp look like little tiny dots. You can't see bodies to them. You can't see a long tail sticking out of them. You'll see 2 little wing things on some of the. There's a few different types of seed shrimp, but honestly, all of them are going to look like little tiny dots swimming around your tank. Where the baby shrimp, the actual Neocaridina or Caridina, are going, because they're all shrimp, right? So that's kind of difficult. But the normal dwarf shrimp are going to look like little tiny replicas. So once you've seen it, you're going to be like, now I know. It's going to be night and day. So if it's a dot, just think it's a seed shrimp. Don't get excited.
It's also the way the seed shrimps move and the behaviors, because the way taken toll how small the shrimplets are, they're not really moving like the seed shrimps will. Seed shrimps kind of dance around in the tank, kind of close to the bottom, or sometimes they'll be up in the middle of the water column, but they kind of move sporadically, where a baby shrimplet should not be doing that. If they're moving sporadically, there might be something wrong, and you're not going to have a very good baby survival rate. So here for the comments said, how does diet impact Neocaridina shrimp health and color? And what specific nutritional factors should be considered for optimal care?
So we've already talked about this. We're no nutritionists. We haven't ever really looked into what exactly the shrimp's exact needs and wants are, but there are plenty of commercial shrimp foods out there on the market, and basically we just go through and we pick the ones that we like, and then the ones that our shrimp like and react to, and then try and do a large variety of those foods, so that way we mix it up. The shrimp gets something different every other day, We have around 7 different foods in rotation. So every other week, the shrimp are getting, a different food every other day. So um, that right there, and to me, basically ensures that all the shrimp get whatever they need. There are a certain amount of foods that we've fed, and we notice more casualties throughout the house than we normally do. So I don't like to feed those. And like, mind you, we tried it once and had more than a normal amount of deaths. We give the food another try. It's not like it just happened one and done. It happened a couple times, so we don't use those foods. I've already talked about it, but like the shrimp envy foods are the most bang for your buck that we can find. You can buy the 90-gram bags through our website, and that right there is generally like $30, I think, and it's going to last the average breeder quite a long time. Where some of these other commercial foods, you'll spend 20 or $30 for like 30 grams, and that to me doesn't make a lot of sense. I love the Shrimp King foods, but they're just expensive. Even for us to buy them and then resell them, there's no money involved because it's so expensive. And then,
Good
um,
food.
yeah, then there's other foods that are
Really
just
sounds-
no longer readily available and easy to get our hands on,
and
or
it
the
smells
cost, yeah, or the cost goes up and stuff like that. So we don't keep it anymore. We use the uh, Shrimp Envy foods and the Glass Garden foods, and then the Soy Ahoy. And that right there is enough foods for us to make it through our regimen, and everybody's happy. And we don't see any results where our shrimp are infected or impacted, or I don't have a ton of shrimp with balloon heads or short skirts or anything like that. So yeah, I think the food regimen that we're using is doing well, and maybe one day we'll be able to answer this in more depth and stuff like that. This is like a question where we bring up the Bloomfields and we talk about this for like a whole hour with them, but
Yeah.
we'd have to organize that. I just lost a nerve in my ear. Everything went completely deaf.
I get that.
All
I
right.
also think that especially with anything like protein and minerals, you can't just feed that all week. You could have other issues arise from that. It's something like you have to have variety, which most foods do. Like especially like the complete, it has so many different things in it that you're not just feeding one specific type of food. But like say you were to eat or say you were to feed just like straight protein food, you're gonna have issues. So. Thank you so much, Vibes Aquatics, for the $1.99 super chat. Says, shh, can you keep it quiet? I'm eating. Thanks. I'm actually the person that you need to be like really loud because I absolutely can't stand when people are eating. It's nothing like it doesn't gross me out. It just irritates me. I'm just like, please stop. Like I hyper focus on it and it's just annoying.
Can we switch sides? I can't hear you now.
No, that's a good thing.
I'm just gonna do the live stream like this so I can hear you.
Cora said I ordered the samurai soil to your recommendation. We do have it in a video of like how crystal clean it is. It's so weird.
Now, mind you, it is a little bit expensive.
Yes.
There is other substrates out there that will perform just as well. You just don't get the looks. Black Diamond Blasting Sand is awesome. We've gone ahead and done tanks where we didn't even rinse it and it worked out fine. But the look, there's little metallic shards and glass and stuff in it. So, not the best for Cory cats, that's for sure. Samurai Soil, Cory cat approved.
Easy B Rider said, I've seen some research that said that lower temps will produce more females and higher temps will produce more males. I would say that we have not had that happen whatsoever in shrimp. Now, this is correct due to eggs and incubation time. But I have not seen that in like a stomach egg incubation. That would be like turtles. Like you could do this with turtles. But isn't it higher temperatures will be male or females?
No, it depends
then
on the species because,
yeah.
like, with gators, I think the higher temperatures is males. There's a species of green sea turtle off of some islands where they're having 99% hatch rate females because of the water climate, the temperature and the climate getting warmer. Then I think with our diamondback terrapins, it was 84 degrees was for females, but 78 degrees for males. So it depends on the species and stuff like that. I think this is more of a myth. I don't think it's true because outside, if that was the case, wherein it's summer and it's warmer and almost, all the shrimp are going to be kept and bred in those warmer temperatures, people would be complaining about how they get, mainly males and stuff like that. And it's not really an issue. So,
otherwise we wouldn't have enough breeding going on. The breeding would stop.
Yeah, I think we would have an issue in the summer where the warmer temperatures wouldn't be helping us out. Where it for sure is when we go from 25 shrimp in December to being able to sell 2,000 of them by the end of the year. That's definitely going to be producing a good amount of females throughout the entire year.
It sounds like your dog's got a cup or something.
I don't know.
Abstract said, "Did you?"
Running around.
No, he hasn't come back inside. I'd hear the door open. Said, "Did you see the wild half red, half blue lobster with both male and female?" Yeah, I sent that to Grant not that long ago.
That's not
that
the first
so
one
cool.
I've seen though.
No,
either.
yeah, I know.
So
it's very very rare,
million.
but it's so cool. Yeah, I think they're actually kept it and they're trying to breed it too. So, which is pretty cool.
But just be on the lookout for Mark though. I wouldn't put it past him to sneak through the doggy door. You try.
That's what the noise was.
Exactly. I'm telling you, shrimp's like, what's he doing in the doggy door?
Here for the comments that the scientific term for the relationship between temperatures and metabolism in Neocaridina shrimp is thermoregulation. See, I said that first. That was the first thing I Googled.
That's the temperature and metabolism. I'm on. That's not talking about breeding and the longevity of their actual life itself. So.
Thank you so much, Vibes Aquatics, again with the $1.99 super chat. Says, go ahead, everyone, buy TGOE out of shrimp. It's getting close. Thank you so much.
I don't even know what we have like a lot of that I could be like, haha, try to buy all of these. Malaysian trumpet snails.
Like, yeah, it is getting to the point of like I was wondering.
No, I'm looking at a few hundred.
I literally just sold 70 out of that tank this month. And it
more
doesn't
than that.
even look like a
like
dent.
This week.
Yeah. Shady said, I love it when you argue samurai soil is a dark, great substrate.
Dark gray substrate, right?
No, great, dark substrate.
Gray.
There. Frank says samurai soil is brown. Have it in 2 of my tanks. They do have a mixed color one, which is
actually
crazy.
Has brown in it.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, it's a different shade of brown, like that clay pot. To me, it's more of a clay color than it is that's the color of it. The clay pot color is.
I'm gonna take a picture. I'm gonna post that tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get
fine.
votes.
It's gonna
Frank,
be.
I'm sorry,
that dress
but
thing.
You're brown.
I know
you're
there
like
was
Shelby.
others.
You're full of it.
What's wrong with you?
I gotta make a joke here. Then you want to argue about it?
Yeah.
That's what the people want.
Oh wait,
give the people
what was
what they
part
want.
1?
Huh?
I don't see part 1, but Fifth said, two-part question. I thought it said part 2.
I did too.
So, is there somewhere you can get bulk samurai soil? Also, a response to the Neo/Caridina mix, I have emeralds and raccoon tigers. Ooh. And both are booming with babies.
So
that's pretty cool.
I don't know if I can say this here, but I heard if you live in Florida, there's a possibility that you can get it in bulk. Through them, you have to contact them, and like you bring your own container and you can weigh it out. I don't know if that's a thing though, but maybe that's just for people with special privileges. So I haven't done that personally. That's what we need to do. Yeah, that we need to look into that ourselves. We just buy what we can at the shows. Nobody wants to bring it home, so it's a little cheaper.
Jeff said, my wife is constantly picking duckweed out of my beard. It just says how. Oh my gosh.
You view your tanks from the top. That's how
Yeah.
you're just like, oh, hello.
Not noticing, yeah.
Didn't notice my beard was that long, or didn't notice that he had that much duckweed. One or the other.
Mine usually I'll have it like on my arm, like up here or something, and it would just be like later, and Grant's just kind of like flicking it out. It's like, why do you have that? I'm like, oh man, I didn't realize it's all the way up there. Five said duckweed helps remove nitrates. That's why it's so good for fish, but it's like so irritating.
I bet you I can send you to work one day with duckweed on your head, and Michael's gonna be like, "What? Where have you been, Shelby?"
No,
Are you
I feel like they
collecting?
wouldn't say anything. I've had some things sunken, like in my hair. I had like a leaf or something that we had like worked and did something outside, and I still had like leaves in my hair.
I had some
And they were
weird
like, "What's
leaves stuck to me after your dad's house. Like they were like like oak leaves that like stuck to me like that. Like they didn't want to come off
Mutant
either.
leaves.
And they weren't like spiky or anything like that. They were just like Velcro-y. It was weird. Back to me.
More. Yeah, see, more. I can't pronounce this word still to this day. Makes more red. Yes, there's a food that has that in it that will help your shrimp be red, and it will even turn some of your other shrimp that are not supposed to be red a little different hues of red, which is crazy. We've seen that actually happen with green food too. Like if you feed algae wafers a lot, some like your clearer shrimp will start to turn green. So some of your wilds will turn green, and you're like, oh, whoa, they're green. Stop feeding them any green food and feed them something else, and they lose that color. It's crazy. And then, trying to read faster. Have you ever looked into creating your own food? That is, we wanted to for a while. We just don't have the time, and we really like shrimp impy food. So we're like, if someone's got the time, let's sell something that we enjoy, and maybe one day in the future we might do our own and try to see how that goes. We've had actually looked into several different companies. We go to Global every year, and Global has different companies that do make food and pelletize it. But it's just one of those things we need to also do the research and see exactly what does well for shrimp. We want to test it on each shrimp. Especially, you got to think Neocaridina and Caridina both come from different habitats and different situations. So they do tend to eat different and have different diets to me. And that's something that people really don't look into. They're just shrimp. They're invertebrates. No one really cares enough to look into it. So maybe one day we'll be able to, and then we can create our own food to like center around that. But
we really don't have the time. When you think about keeping this many aquariums, every time it's like, oh, hey, let's go make some food. Let's go build another stand and start breeding more. So, the Bloomfields kind of filled in the niche that I once thought we could achieve and do, but since they kind of filled that void, we don't really need to do it anymore. So
doesn't it look like a piece of paper?
It's mine now.
It looked like it was just a piece of paper behind my ear. I'm like, where did this like string come from?
Now it's got to go back.
Justin said the color kind of changes on the Samurai, so it looks brown under the light, and then it kind of has a gray tint to it if you hold it against something else. Like, yeah, see, so when it's in the container, I would say that it's grayer, like a blackish gray. But in the tank, it's brown.
Are you looking at the brown diatom algae that's growing over it, or the actual substrate itself?
You talk to me like that again, and water is going all over you.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
And no, we do not have stock in Samurai soil. We just absolutely love it. I really like Caribsea's brands. We like their sands. They're all different colors, and they got Dragonstone, Mountain Stone, everything you could want for like an aquascaper. So we just tend to enjoy it. The Samurai soil itself just kind of mimics like the Brightwell substrate, and I would say that one because like it keeps its form the longest, and that's why Samurai soil just like the form just holds shape. So instead of becoming just like a mush pile at the bottom of the tank like some of the others, we just tend to like it a little bit more. It gives you that feeling that it's like a Caridina tank, and it does really well for plants too because it like It's just enough to shimmy a plant in there, and then like let the roots grow out. So
Also, when they asked for a photo, they were willing to pay for it, and instead we're like, no, pay us in the samurai soil. That's how much we like the actual product. So that's why we have a lot of it. We have tapped out of the samurai soil supply though. So, but when we do the shrimp contest, I asked them to sponsor us for the Neocaridina categories because everything else has to be rinsed or washed or, you know what I mean, it is not available to us for the inert Neocaridina substrates. So it is our go-to when we're dealing in those kind of circumstances.
Aquatic Moose says, I wonder if I feed shrimp crab shells or mushrooms for the chitin content. I feel like mushrooms might be a thing. I think that would work. Abstract
But
said,
you could do the shells.
have you ever
Just make
tried?
sure they're cleaned extensively first.
Yeah. Have you ever tried Oliver Knott's shrimp food? I think he's working on with Chris Lukop. Hope I spelled that right. No, but I really wanted to try the unicorn and the stars. I forgot all about it, honestly. It's not something that's readily available in the United States. Well, it might be now, but
No, here's the problem. I reached out to Chris as soon as I saw it. I was like, dude, gotta have it. Send it over. And he was like, yeah, I'll send it to you. Give me your address. And then nothing happened. And then I found out like a couple days later where Corey made a post saying that Aquarium Co-op was going to be the exclusive dealer for it in the United States. So does
Makes
Corey
sense.
even have his hands on it yet? Chris might be selling out of it like hotcakes over in Europe, and it hasn't even gotten a chance
it's so
to be in Corey's hands yet. But yeah, when it's available, Corey will have it, and then the pet stores that Corey sells to will be able to carry it. But it's not a product that we'll ever be able to carry on our site because that's the Aquarium Co-op. They only sell to brick and mortar, not online stores. So, but you can buy it through them.
This is
Pink
great.
unicorns. It looks like a cool.
It is so cute. I want it so bad. There's another food that they did too, but I can't forget. Can't remember it. Sorry.
Han used to have a food that I really liked that we need to
Strawberry
come up
banana.
with. No, not that one. But
No,
there's another food that I used to feed in all the tanks before people would come to the house. We'll save it
was
for
a
another
colorful
day.
one, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
We'll save it
Yeah.
for another day.
Don't hassle the Hoff, which is a great name. Says Shelby, what is your setup for your fish tanks? There's so many different ones.
Her setup
There's
is
just, like,
steel
90.
grade shrimp tank.
So a lot of them are just like basic 10 gallons that we have set up that would just be for shrimp too, and just happen to work for the fish. So we have like the Neo tanks that I used for my fish. Most of them are just 10-gallon tanks with some moss and different plants in them. Of course, just giving them just the basic needs. Mosses look really what fish want. Some of them are different. Like we have a Shelly's tank that has a ton of shells, and then it's got the crushed coral and argonite. It used to actually be a Solvese tank, and then we turned it into a Shelly tank, which it just seems to have a never-ending life. So that one's pretty cool. There's quite a few. I'm up to like 100. I've definitely got to be at 100 fish tanks right now, just because I moved all my Gadeids around and they're just everywhere. There's a ton of bookshelf tanks, but basically just substrate, some plants in the tank, and that's about it. You wouldn't, like, just going over the tanks, you probably wouldn't be able to tell that it's just a fish tank to a shrimp tank without seeing the fish. Okay. It is cool that you guys have your yellow striped Neos on the front of it. It really worded very vaguely about stuff, and it definitely does not say if it's inert or not. Yeah. But can you go grab a container? It's driving me crazy what it says. So we use it. Those containers become really handy, especially for fish food. I use those to feed all my fish. So like I just dump all my fish food into those containers and then use that to feed the house because I have so many tanks that it's just little tiny containers just don't do anything. So I buy in bulk and fill those up. They're very easy. Yes, soy ahoy is just like the soybean, which is a snowflake food. They're all roughly the same. But thank you, I enjoy them too. Um, Brandon says, my wife is always with the, can you stop breathing? Keep trying. Oh, we actually got a good one. You didn't grab my fish food. That would have been a lot more convenient.
Yeah, but now we're going to have the great gray-brown debate.
I mean, like I said, it actually looks black in the container right now.
All right, so it says pH neutral mineralogy will not increase pH. Promotes neutral to slightly acidic pH is what they
need to change.
It shouldn't say that on there. Like that's the slightly misleading, but you gotta agree with me that that's gray in all its entirety.
No.
Still think it's brown?
Yeah, for sure. It's not going to show up on the screen either.
I don't know. I feel like it's a gray or even a brown, like a brown gray, like somewhere in the middle of brown and gray. But like,
we need to get one of those color charts that tell you exactly. There's a game like that now. It's really cool. I don't know what it's called, but like they'll pull up, like someone will say it's Barney, and then people put their little chips on the color wheel on which one they think is Barney's color. And so many people got it wrong. They all see a different color, just like the theory of women being able to see better color because of our ancestors collecting the berries. We need to know what color
I got an idea. Tomorrow we got to go to Home Depot. It's happening regardless. Mm-hmm. We're going to go into the paint sampling aisle, and you grab the color that you think Samurai Soil is, and I'll grab the color that I think it is. And then we'll go home and we'll see who's closer, and Mark can be the judge.
Okay.
All right.
We're going to live stream it.
No. But, winner gets something, of course. You gotta think of something.
We said I also actually bought it because of Shelby. Yeah. Said it was her favorite substrate for Neos last week. By the way, I know you guys said you're running low on... I'm assuming that was Neos, but do you have any Blue Dreams or anything left? We have some Blue Diamonds.
Blue Diamonds left. Shelby took the Blue Dreams off the website today. I actually bought some Blue Dreams yesterday, so those are on the way today.
Sometimes we oversell, and then sometimes it's good to get some new colors. Like some people work really hard on their coloration, and this person did a really good job. Drank too much water really fast. Really good job on their blues.
I actually thought they were LRBs, and then I found out they were not. But I was like, don't matter. It's still the same kind of quality. So,
yeah, to me it is one of the nicest ones for Neos, just because it is so clean. It really baffles me how clean it is. Like, it's weird. It's so weird. Like, I've just used so many substrates. I mean, all over the board, and where people are like, I've never rinsed the sand from Home Depot, but I have literally had that where it was like almost milk in the tank. And I was like, should have rinsed it.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Mimic said he messaged you the answer.
Yeah, but I don't think it's right.
That's what he's been arguing all night. So no one's going to be right. So here for the comments says, I'm only one that used full sand at one point. No, we've used full sand over and over and over again. I love full sand. It's a great one. I just like different. So full sand gets dirty. I keep kicking this, and I apologize to everyone that's had to deal with me fidgeting and kicking the laptop all night. It is probably throughout the whole thing that it's all like shaky. That's me. I'm so sorry. Pool sand just gets way too dirty. Like the mulm just looks so gross.
And we used it. We set up a bunch of aquariums with it. The axolotls were used with pole sand. And back to mimics, you gave me a theory, so that's multiple words. So technically, it's wrong because I asked for one scientific word. So that's why I'm saying it's wrong without even looking up the theory. But maybe the theory is correct, and I don't know. Shelby also gave me two theories that are different than your theories. So
yeah, there's the
Allen's theory,
and Bergman's
Birdman,
Bergman's theory, which of course a lot of people think that it's because of where it's located on the earth, but it's nothing to do with that. It's just that we have warmer climates and colder climates, and there's a reason some of the animals look different but could be the same species, but it's a whole different. There's a whole thing about it.
Here's my question and argument now. Do the deer in Florida that stay small live as long as the deer in Michigan that grow larger?
Yes, because they're made for it. We evolved. That's the thing. I think that's where we're getting the disconnect in the theories, is because that is part of the theory, but it is also to explain that the animals live longer in the colder.
What I'm saying is your theory is.
We're gonna go on left field. These theories are just like
where what I'm trying to ask is all specific with everything. Like it's like it can't be this unless all 5 of these things check off. And your theory only checks off 2 of the things that I'm looking for. That's my problem.
No, it doesn't. I explained it. It does check off all the things you're asking me. You want more. I can't give you more. Easy V Rider said, if money wasn't an issue, what food would you use? Have you tried any of the Japanese food brands? And can you recommend any foods that will improve colors of different Caridina shrimp?
So, if money wasn't an issue, what foods would we feed our shrimp? I'd probably just feed them Wagyu beef. Wagyu? A grade, A5.
Oh, see, I completely disagree with that statement. That I think that beef should not be part of a diet.
It was a joke.
Okay. These people were looking for answers, and you were just joking up
Money
here.
Wasn't
I'm
an
done
answer.
with you.
Man.
See, so he's kind of asking, would Shrimp King be something that you would be going after compared to everything that we are using? Is it that much better if money wasn't an issue to you?
I have really pathetic hands, and I like the fact that Shrimp King foods are easy to break up. So if your hands don't get cut after every single project and look like you battled a cat every day, then go for it and use the Shrimp Envy foods. There's no real difference to me in the Shrimp Envy foods than the Shrimp King foods, other than they're just a little bit softer. And to me, it's really hard to get a soft food that holds up the way that the Shrimp King foods do. The only other nice soft food that I like is the Mineral Junkie by Glass Garden.
So nice.
So I love the Glass Garden Mineral Junkie, maybe a tad bit more than the mineral food from Shrimp King, and just a tad bit more than the Shrimp Envy shell. So it's like they're so close. It really isn't the money factor. It's just the fact that the Bloomfields take care of me and they make the Shrimp Envy foods in little smaller pellets just for me. So like that's something that we asked for, and they do that for us. So even if money wasn't a factor, I'd probably still use a majority of the Shrimp Envy foods.
Yeah. My thing is, money is always going to play a factor regardless. And to me, for the amount of for the price of Shrimp King to the price of Shrimp Envy, there's not enough differences that would make me pay more for something that I'm going to get all of that I need for my shrimp diet out of Shrimp Envy. And I do like the foods. Don't get me wrong, I like Shrimp King. It's great food. If I have it, and if it was around the same price, I would also I would rotate that in, but I wouldn't
But like
choose one or the other.
out of all the Shrimp King foods, I only like the protein and the mineral. I'm not a big fan of any of the
I
other
like
foods. I
the-
don't like the color. I don't like the
Yeah.
the other foods are like a powder or they're like a snowflake knockoff. Like not knockoff, but like just snowflake with extra little stuff added into it that I just don't think is like needed with a different mix of food. So I like the Shrimp King protein and the shell, but like you could use the shell envy or the growth envy foods as well instead. I just like that they're easy to break down, and it seems like they break apart for the shrimp to like not fight over as much. But the shrimp envy will eventually do that too. It just takes a tad longer. That's all. So.
And it says, have you ever tried any of the Japanese food brands? Yes, we've been handed it personally.
They're generally harder, and they don't break up like the shrimp envy foods.
My thing is, there's a lot of them that smell.
Oh, they
like
reek
baby
too.
vomit.
Yeah.
Like they make your whole house smell like that if you don't have a lid. They do
the
work well.
Blizzard by Vin will reek up your house if you have more than 3 tanks.
He fed it one day, and I was literally like gagging, and I am not
I was in
that
the
bad
house,
with smell.
used to it, didn't leave, didn't know it was smelling. She comes in and gags up a storm. We leave, go to dinner, come back, and I'm like, oh, gotta open windows. How did I let this happen?
They're good.
And then we forgot about it. Years later, got the food again with more tanks. I think we evacuated for like 10 weeks. No.
It felt like that. Yeah, don't do it with them. I mean, if you were to feed very small amounts, it probably wouldn't be that big of a difference. And it is really good food. I
like the MK
bad.
food lines. They're just hard. And with my pathetic fingers, breaking them all up, it puts holes in my thumbs. Like it really does. So
and then
I don't like the SL Aqua foods. They're twice as hard, which I don't know how is physically possible.
Rocks.
And then the shrimp, don't eat it nearly as fast. It doesn't do as good of a job because of how long it takes to break down. Then there's low-key foods. Low-key foods are fine, but like the spirulina, the caridina did not eat that at all. So it just made a green mess in the tank. But like the MK foods, the cheeseburger, the shrimp crack,
shrimp crack was good.
They were great foods, just so hard for me to break up and to feed this many aquariums. I just didn't like it. And the sticks are like long. Like some of the sticks would come out of the bag like that long, and you got to break them all up individually. It's just probably better if I just took like a hammer to the bag and just like crushed it all up before I fed. Maybe I'll do that in the future. I'm gonna mess up your hair by the end of the stream. I'm sorry.
We should do a video of just showing each food and like what makes it better than the next, and just like kind of explain it a little bit better. That'll be a good video, like especially just taking it from the shrimp lines, even like each brand of.
And then you shot glasses, soak them in the water, and then I can use my finger and smush it.
And then, so the last question: can you recommend any foods
after you smush it? Taste it.
You have fun with that.
No, you.
Can you recommend any foods that will improve colors of different caridina shrimp? So to me, I'll answer this first. I would never use food to enhance the colors of the shrimp. You want to selectively breed shrimp to have those better colors and improve those colors. If you're using a food to achieve it, you're going to lose that color if you stop feeding that food, which you don't want to just feed that food. Anything that helps improve colors, like they said earlier, is that specific word. I can't ever remember it, but it's only the one that helps with like red coloration, and then of course green. But I don't know.
Whatever it is.
But like for improving colors, you just want to make sure you have a good diet and selectively breed those shrimp that absolutely have the good color.
Why would a good reason for that be?
What do you mean?
Crip mentioned this in one of his videos, and I thought of this as something, that I didn't see that side of it, and he mentioned it, where if you're feeding a food for the shrimp to look that color as a seller, and then you sell that shrimp to somebody else who isn't feeding that additive, they're going to be disappointed after a couple water changes, after a couple food cycles, and that's out of their system, and now you've got an uglier shrimp than what you paid for. So as sellers, I would never recommend anybody to do that, especially if you're looking to sell off your shrimp. There is like a Shrimp King color food that has that annexin. Mark, you around? You know what that word is? I heard him come in and open
Just
a Coke.
drinking water.
You know the pigmentation food that you can feed red, and you use it for like arowanas and stuff too. Annexin, no. All right, on to the next one.
Abstract says, anyone ever tried sweet pea flowers with their shrimp? It turns water bluish, which people make a tea out of this. Say sweet. It's like sweet pea tea or something that's really pretty. It makes a pretty blue tea. I don't know if that would be good, but if it's all natural and it's clean, a problem would be I would be a little worried about pesticides with any flowers. And
Yeah, but if
anything.
they're selling it for tea for people, there shouldn't be pesticides in it. It's
But
something
we
you can
eat
try,
pesticides. What
and
are you
you
talking about?
sacrifice like the yellow tank or something for them.
Yeah, that'd be cool. If it turned it blue, that'd be cool. Diatom. Okay. I am trying to read fast.
Oh, you're
I can't
good.
read that fast. Okay.
So should I update the people on what's going on?
Raw mushrooms for plecos. Might be onto something there. You never know.
Some wood
There's mushrooms grow underwater, so.
But like the mushrooms that grow off of wood might be more beneficial than the ones out of cow patties.
So done with you. Wi-Fi says take a handful with you and match it to a color chart. Should see that's the worst thing about lighting too. LEDs are gonna make lights the lights in the buildings make everything look so different. I never even thought of that for the longest time, that lights change things so much. So I saw this video of a girl sitting still, and they took a light and they go around her head with the light, and she looks like 6 different people in one room sitting in one position with different lighting. It is the craziest looking thing. I don't know if anyone else has seen that, but when will some raccoons be available? I have 2. Probably next month.
Yeah, they've got babies.
They're almost there.
The babies need to grow up, and then
Tangerine Tigers are almost back on the website too. They'll probably be next month. Most likely December. We'll have some shrimp back onto the website. It's just we don't want to oversell with the sale right now. We can do some, but like to do extra, and we definitely make sure everyone's well taken care of during the sale. So
yeah, it's buy 10 get 3 free. So gotta make sure there's at least 15 in the tank before we sell 10 of them. Should I do some updates?
Yeah.
All right. So we finished setting up the rack. All of the tanks are on the rack. We even got all of the plugs set up for the rack. So now, very easily, if we wanted to turn off all the lights for the live stream or turn them all back on, we could do that whenever we want.
When you did. I looked like I went to a ghost. It was crazy. Don't do it again.
But
you're gonna short out all the lights.
But that is taken care of.
Plugs, yay!
So we no longer have to worry about the lights being on or off while we're on vacation or anything like that. Also, we were able to get 2 of the extension cords out of there. The power strips. I never know the right one with those terminologies. But we got 2 power strips out of there and condensed all of the lights and plugs onto 3 power strips instead of 5. So a lot less of a fire hazard there. And now everything is a lot less chaotic behind the canister filter. And then we realized that we didn't have any. I realized that I didn't have any lids still in the garage for the tanks. So we had to order more plastic sheets. They should be here on the 4th. So next week, hopefully during the live stream, I'll have some freshly cut lids that I can show off, and then the tanks will get those immediately, and then we'll put in the filters and crank up and start the cycle. Right now, there's water in the tanks. There's bacteria in there. They're not really cycling the sponges, but there's a lot of bacteria and stuff like that that'll colonize in the filter. That's going to be good, and also this gives it a jump start on the biofilm growing in the aquarium. So that's all that really matters. Our humidity might be a little bit higher in the house since there isn't lids on 32 aquariums, but I don't think it's that bad this time of the year. It's a little dry out anyways.
Why'd you say anything? Because I don't think I noticed till just now.
No, my hands are dry and crackling.
I mean, it's not like humidity like a problem, but like I could tell a difference from like without. I can't even speak today. Johnny said, does it matter if you mix any of the red or blue Neo shrimp that will give you release? So when you're doing that, I would say you want to do a higher quality red and a higher quality blue, because the lower quality you try to mix together, the more lower quality you're going to have. So you're going to have a higher probability of getting nicer release. You're always going to have a lot of wilds or coals come out. So it's just working harder on them.
Well, with the blue velvets, you can get normal red release, where if you use the blue dreams, like Shelby was mentioning, you can get the red release blue bodies. But there's always a chance if you cross blue dreams with reds that you can end up with wilds. So it's either going to make wilds or it's going to make release. There's no in betweens. And you're going to end up, having a higher chance of getting wilds if you use blue diamonds over blue dreams, but it's still like a 1 in 10 chance that you're going to end up with release either or. So, but you definitely want to use the highest grade red cherries as possible.
So here with the comments has commented this like a couple times. Can you post the question in the comments? I forgot that you asked the question and that people were answering. And I'm like, what are they talking about? That's so weird. Why are they? Can you type that out into the chat, please?
So I realized this just might be from my dimension, not the dimension we're currently living in. So
yeah, I know you live in a different dimension. That's true.
Just trying to find my way back. But anyways, so a scientific term.
They're asking you to put it in the comments. Oh, goodness gracious! Can you type that in there?
Just type in here. You do it. I can't. I had the mic in my way. Just start at "They grow faster."
And then
or
Nathan,
give me the phone. I'll do it this way. This is how I can.
Cool. Member for 9 months. Just seeing how long till I have here. Almost there. He's gonna get that coming for you. Sorry. As you can tell, we're running a little short on. I haven't got much sleep, so that's not helping. Mineral Junkies texture is fantastic. It really is. I love it. I've used it for some of my videos too. Like I smushed it and put it on. Like one of the funny videos I did was like cheetah shrimp, and I used what are those called? It's one of my daughter's toys. They're like those little mini brands. It's like little White Castle French fries, and I used Mineral Junkie and I smushed it to the back of it, so like all the shrimp go crazy and like look like they're eating the fries, and it's all thanks to Mineral Junkie because it can be smushed on. I think we have a couple new foods coming whenever this shrimp order for foods arrives. We ordered like a month and a half ago, and I have no word and no insight for that one. But once that comes, we do have a couple new shrimp foods coming. I do like to try different ones because we haven't tried everything, which is crazy thinking of how many tanks we have, but we haven't tried every shrimp food. But I want enough to know how it does, how it helps with breeding and things like that. So I don't really like to recommend or carry those foods unless we know. So there'll be a couple foods we're going to be talking about the next couple of months on some of them. One, I know it's just a cute little shape of one of the ones we were to keep. So Um,
Back to me.
Brandon thinks mineral junkie smells like vanilla yogurt candies. Forbidden delicious. I think it smells like celery and garlic. No, celery and garlic. I think it's funny. Mainly celery to me.
The
And now
vanilla's
vanilla
just in your
yogurt
head.
candies. I gotta smell it
Go
again.
get it.
No. Next
Taste
time
test live.
Taste test.
Rock paper scissors. Loser has to go taste it.
J-Dub says, I occasionally feed my shrimp Ziegler Pro Start, which is what I feed my cichlids. Should I avoid that? No, see, I don't think that you should avoid it. I think if that's the only diet, it could become an issue. Because I think that's mainly a protein food for your fish, which most fish foods are protein. But it could have like a mix. I'm going to look that up while Grant answers another question.
Well, maybe I'll just talk about our sale.
That sounds good.
So currently, it is Cyber Monday. We have been running our Black Friday sales the entire month. Everything is buy 10, get 3 free. And then several things have been discounted throughout the site. All of the shrimp have been discounted. All of the moss has been discounted. Most of the plants. Some of the shrimp food. I think Shrimp Envy complete 35-gram bags are only $9. And then we also have free shipping on orders over $100, like we always do. So take advantage of that. And then, some things are running low. So get those while you can. If it's something that you're after or something that we don't have up on the website, you can always email us and we can give you an ETA on when those will be available. So, what are you looking at?
That fish food, which is so weird because it really doesn't have its content. Where, like, when you look at food, it tells you their content and what it is, and this one just says it's good, sustained, like all natural stuff, but it doesn't actually have the ingredients. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing, so I might.
That's one of the things where the Bloomfields were talking about their ingredients on the back, and they're like, "Here, read this. It's all stuff you actually know and you can pronounce." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good selling point on that for sure."
Mimic Nature, member for 3 months. Thank you. Says, how many lights do you have controlled by each timer?
This one rack has 15 lights on the one timer. So I think 15 is the most. Not all of them have 15 though. Back to me.
Abstract said, whatever happened to your green willies? Mine keep turning pink.
Turning pink means they're dying. That's not a good thing, right?
Right.
So ours are doing fine. I'm actually considering, so I got to get through a couple of things before we get to it, but I would like to go into each of the racks and do updates on all of those. And when we do the rack with the green willies, one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to move all of the shrimp from the tank next to it and move them over and basically give them a second tank so I can start culling. Because honestly, I'm quite happy with the cull rate that came out of them. I got a lot more willies than I have culls in that tank. They're not big shrimp by any means. They don't breed very fast. I don't think they've quite gotten used to like maybe another generation or so until they're used to my water parameters. But they're not having any die-offs or anything like that. They were breeding like crazy until I dosed them with the Paragard to get rid of the green fungus. But is the complete been out of stock?
Yep. A lot of our food on the website's out of stock.
Son of a gun.
Oh my God, I really thought you were going to say something bad. I'm thinking it. Don't say it out loud.
I wanted to say it, but I realized where I'm at. So.
Oh, yeah. So those should be fixed now.
Who just said
I'm so
that?
sorry,
Who's the-
Ashley. Thank you so much for
Wow.
saving it.
Thank you. We've been selling so much food that I didn't think of it.
I forgot that it takes it off the website. Like that's the whole. I thought it was like the purpose of that being low stock was so that I see it.
So give us an alert
Yeah.
saying, "Hey, by the way,
No,
fill
it
this
just
out."
tells everyone else that we're out of it. But now it should be
Ay, ay,
updated.
ay.
I'm so sorry about that. J-Dub says 44% protein. It is a protein food. That's what most fish foods are because that's what fish usually need is protein, which isn't bad for shrimp. Shrimp need protein as well. That's really critical to their diet. I just say that it shouldn't be the only source of food. I'd throw some mineral in there and maybe some veggies or something like that, just to kind of throw it off once in a while. Welcome in, Matt.
Is that the same Ashley that helped us at Aquashella?
Yes.
If you place an order, we'll throw you a little something extra for letting us know about that. Much appreciated.
Aquatic Moose says, "Oh, what? Sorry. Are all the colors of Neos different colors of the same species?"
There are two different species of Neocaridina. There's Neocaridina davii and Neocaridina palmata. I think the palmata are the ones with no striping on the back, like the snowballs and the blue velvets. And then the davii are the ones with the striping on the back, like the green jades, the yellows. I couldn't tell you what all of them are, though, exactly. I'm horrible with that.
And see, Coro even says, I think 3 identified species of Neos. I know Snowball are 1 and the other species collection points. So that's something that is a kind of a little argument that I would like to even talk about as well, that a lot of people think that snowballs are not the same and that they can't interbreed. That is not true. Snowballs can definitely breed with other shrimps, so don't put different Neos in with snowballs. You will muck up your line and they will all become wilds. They don't even get a chance of being something cool. They just become wild. So we've had that happen before. So maybe they're collected in somewhere else, but we've had pure snowballs. If you keep them together, they stay pure. You mix something else in there, they are gonna breed. Neocaridina. I don't know what that is. I'll Google that one. Yeah. We don't know all of them, but that's I don't know what you want to talk about. That's up.
Got the stand done. The pool has been completely pressure washed and siphoned out, so that way it's all back to its mint stage. We have a video on our TikTok, if you go check that out, of all the koi in the pool and how spotless it is. We had issues with the insurance company where we had to make sure that you could see the bottom of the pool in case somebody fell in or something like that. Safety issues. So that has been taken care of, and we're just gonna have to make sure that we do that every once a year or something like that. Which it isn't a big issue. It didn't take that much work. It was probably longer than what it should have been just because we haven't done it for so long. So as long as we make it like a spring cleaning kind of thing, where once upon a time we were doing that, but then ever since the Aquachar saved the house from the flea meds, I kind of stopped making that a thing to do in February just because of what happened that same day that I had gone through and done that. So we kind of got to make it a routine again, do it once a year, and then we won't have that issue. But on top of that, we did not have a proper fence around our pool. We went through and basically built fence boards from scratch. They did not have them at our Home Depot. So we went through with one of our buddies and able to knock that out today. And basically, you open up the doors and you can't see any of the greenhouse and only like 1 or 2 of the IBC totes. We'll go to Home Depot tomorrow, buy some shorter boards, make a little door gate, It'll cover up the IBC totes still, and then finish up the decking. But basically, our whole house will be finished after that. Oh, I mean, the outside and everything like that will be finished and all done, taken care of. We wanted to wait until February to get all that done, anyways, but our insurance company got out of the state of Florida. Our policy is up at the end of December, so we have to shop around and find new insurance before that policy is up. And everything's just got to be basically up to standards where it looks like somebody's living in the home and not using it to run a fish farm factory for their shrimp and stuff like that. So it's just been a process, but hopefully majority of it will be done tomorrow, and then all I have to worry about is trimming trees and weed whack the back of the house and try and make it not look like a nursery anymore without the greenhouses and buckets and everything.
Snowballs will not breed with Caridina, no. They are a Neo. So it looks like the Neo, however you pronounce that, is a weird shrimp out of Germany, which might be kind of something like the Hummels, where they're pretty rare in the hobby and they just don't really exist. They could be out there. I don't know why they would be different. They'd probably still interbreed with others, so it would probably just be location on those and why those are different.
And it might be location of a Davii or Palmata, because what happened is we also have Keegan wild Neocaridina, and it's not like a whole different variety. It's just a location of a wild type shrimp. So those are actual wild Neocaridina shrimp. They're not from somebody crossing two different colors of Neos and getting the wilds.
Justin said, do you guys have any blue bolts for sale or anything similar? I was looking at the blue and black skunks you have for sale. I can't really see them that well. Are they good looking shrimp?
Black and blue skunks, I think, are my favorite shrimp that I've created from scratch and been able to put on the website and sell. It is one of my dream shrimp when I first got into the hobby, and now that we have it and I'm able to sell it at a decent price, I think that's one of the best most bang for your buck purchase that you can buy on our website. The genetics and everything, quality grade, is all there. If you want blue bolts, though, we have babies in all three of our main blue bolt tanks. They're just tiny. They need time to grow. So I'd say like maybe the end of next month, we'd probably be able to offer those. I might have some blue steels that I could offer, but I don't think I have like a comfortable 10-pack that I'd be ready to let go of just yet. If you wanted to pay more money and get some crazy blues, I might let go of some crazy blues, but those are going to be $20 a piece, and they kind of look similar to blue steels or blue bolts. They just have the ability to throw out the gold, the green, and other colorations that don't look like blue steels.
Of course, can you put a danger deep pond sign up next to the pool? No. People don't know how to read either. I found that out. Justin said, also, I know fluval substrate breaks down pretty fast, but it is good for Caridinas, correct?
So fluval substrate won't break down if you use the low pH. If you're using KH, the KH is what's breaking it down. So it would not break down in a Caridina tank, but it's good for Caridina if that's the only thing you can get. There is better options out there, though.
Oh, it's Mark. I just think the lava rocks are loud sometimes. Abstract says, does Grant dance on his TikTok videos? Yes, he does.
No, I don't.
Of course, this Neo is just snowballs. That sounds right. Moose says, Cora, did you catch us walk across the keyboard? I swear some of these are just insane. It's probably an area, honestly, where they found them. Abstract said, what breeds are chameleon shrimp or Pinocchios? Oh.
So the chameleon shrimp are the Bobalti. So it's a Caridina shrimp that can't breed with the other Caridina shrimp. So there's a lot of like different subspecies of Caridina that I think they should be called something like different. Like Paracaridina is a thing, so there should be other side steps of Caridina like that, which I think would be for the Bobolti, because nobody has been able to cross the Bobolti with anything else. They're not even as easy to take care of as the crystal shrimp, even though they can be bred and kept in Neocaridina or Caridina parameters. They just don't do really well in either one of them. The Pinocchios are, I don't think they're like a certain species that I'm going to be able to pick off at the top of my head. But it's more of a brackish two-stage shrimp that's able to survive in fresh water. All of them are, it's a Caridina gralis roasted. I can't pronounce.
Rostris. I think that's like because it's the nose. That's what it is. It's a big nose, is what it stands for in Latin, I believe.
But it's not able to crossbreed with the other Caridina shrimp. So just like Sulawesi shrimp are Caridina, and they're not able to crossbreed either.
Coming. Hello, Crypt Keeper coming in. So you are here, but yeah, I really do believe that does translate to big nose, which is pretty cool to think about. That one makes sense then. That's actually what like a lot of what is that, Latin? No, am I saying that right? Latin? Yeah. Latin names are. It's supposed to mean something. That's why when like someone goes out and names a fish after themselves, it's just like, okay, just break all the rules. Just name it after yourself. But yeah, I'm caught up again.
All right. I think that's basically it. So if anybody has any questions or anything like that, now's the time to ask away. Besides that, the only information I have is next week we'll officially start our holiday giveaway streams. So we will be giving away something on next week's stream. Haven't decided exactly what it is. We at least have one swag pack that we'll be giving away with some t-shirts. We no longer have any hats to give away, which is sad. But like maybe we'll reach out to Chattanooga Ed and get a hat from him to donate in the swag pack, because the swag pack also includes a bunch of stickers and stuff like that we've collected from some of the shows. Any doubles that we have go out in the swag pack, and we'll do another shrimp giveaway. We'll do a fish giveaway. We'll do a plant giveaway. And then on top of all of that, we are now less than 100 subscribers from getting 6,000 here on YouTube. And chances are we'll hit that before the end of the year. And we'll be doing a 6K giveaway where we'll do like $150 worth of giveaways. We'll do like 3 that day. So also we've got some Sam Scale prints and some other things that we can give away as well. We might even team up with someone like we did last year and give away some stuff. And then, did we ever sign up for the Fish Fam giveaway thing?
I didn't even look into it.
Somebody needs to help us with that. Dee Dee, if you're out there, save me.
No,
send me a link.
Just need to do it. We're gonna stop being. Well, we're not lazy. We just haven't found time for anything but doing the house. So, and then Amisa said, I missed a bit. Did they discuss the snowballs? I'm super interested. A little bit, not really much. There's not much to snowballs. They're just in Neocaridina. They take the same parameters as everything else. And do not mix them with other Neos, because it is a problem. They will become wild. So they're really cool. They're like clear, kind of like milky almost sometimes. Like especially when they're like pregnant, they kind of get like a whitish tint to them. But really cool. Had them for years. So 6K giveaway. You gotta not say it like that though. Like we're giving $6,000 away, because like that's never happening.
Yeah, it'd
be cool.
One can dream.
Yeah, he knows the Fish Fam Christmas isn't happening. There's Fish Fam Secret Santa, which we have not looked into. That's what it is.
Well, Fish Fam giveaway this
entries
year?
Are closed, so we missed out of that. That works for us. Channels can do their own thing. Makes sense. Have you tried legit fish foods yet? We've
I've seen them, but
no,
I
we
have not
have their
tried them yet.
stickers.
Yeah.
I don't know why we don't have the food and why we only have the stickers. So no, not yet.
We've tried the extreme foods, but the pellets are way too small, so it just makes a mess when you're trying to feed so many tanks. That's why I like a lot of the commercialized foods. Like a lot of them are the right size for one tank, and then you just scale up from there. If you have a huge colony, 2 or 3 pellets. Very rare do we have a new colony or something like that we have to break the pellets apart.
I'm assuming no Fish Fam Christmas because it is a lot of work and it's very stressful for all the people involved who did most of the work. So I can understand for sure trying to get all the emails, making sure everyone's got the right addresses, things like that. Dee Dee said, if you do a giveaway, I do know a Lady Santa that might help you out. I hope that Lady Santa contacts us, and that sounds like a great time.
Love that.
But yeah, it's Fish Fam Christmas is awesome, but it's a lot of work for the people involved. So I can completely understand if they just decided they don't want to do it.
I always had a soft spot for it because it's kind of what got me involved with all the Fish Fam stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I broke my leg exactly 2 years to this day and was basically bedridden for 10 weeks. And what kept me through the sanity was everybody doing the live streams because of the Fish Fam Christmas and stuff like that. It led me from one channel to another. I found the Fish Fam link, and the rest is history, where we've got this huge circle of not just supporters but friends and family that we travel all over the country, and the best part about it is meeting you guys and seeing you guys. So it's really like kind of like sad, but at the same time I understand.
Jeff Kane is year-round Santa for sure. I would say in the Fish Fam, Jeff Kane is Santa Claus for sure.
Yeah, but
what is that noise? Now it's even
it's
louder.
Mark.
Like he's playing music or something.
Yeah, dang, I'm 2 for 2. I'm missing.
Still outside.
Just throw something at it like I'm like he's a cat on the fence that's crying and meowing at night. But
like the cartoons. Sorry.
I don't know what I was gonna say. I had something else I was about to dive into. But if there's no Fish Fam giveaway or anything like that, I'm still gonna go at it for the holidays and give it away. Shelby, you should have got that outfit now. The little elf one that we saw at Kohl's or whatever.
Oh yeah. That wasn't a Kohl's, but okay.
I don't know.
That was just a Santa.
It's just a blur when I walk through the department stores. It's just so much horribleness.
You can't walk through the stores. Mark, I did see your comment. Ice cream, we have none, and everything is closed.
There's some pumpkin pie though. If you smother it in whipped cream, it's close.
Terrible, bro. That was 7-Eleven. Yeah, I guess so.
Anything else?
No. Yeah. No. It's no.
All right. So I think unless somebody says a question right now, that's going to be it for this week. Thank you guys. If anybody has any questions after the fact and rewatched all of this and still has a question, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to help you. Or you can reach out to us on Facebook, email us at thegardenofeater@gmail.com, and then we'd be happy to help you out that way. But also, if anybody has any ideas for future live streams or anything like that, I've got a bunch of them ready and lined up for Caridina. Kind of lacking a little bit on the Neocaridina side. So if you guys are, clever and come up with an idea that we haven't done yet or don't already have on our list, you guys could win something, one of your own Sam Scales prints.
Was that the alarm for the auction?
No, I don't remember what it is for because it's an 11 o'clock alarm now, and I have no idea what I set that for.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Ashley said, what started the universe? This is going to be a long live stream. All right, so buckle in. So once upon a time.
Oh, that was the cookies for last night.
Oh, okay. Made some
Yeah.
cookies. But wow, I ate at 11 o'clock. That's the first
we
time
were
in like
so
a
busy.
year.
We did so much work yesterday. The time we got done and ready, and then we ate hot pot so late. So
That's so good. Oh
All
my
right.
goodness.
Well, that's gonna be it, everybody. We made it over the 2-hour mark, anyways. So.
We did it. We made it. Thank you, everyone.
Appreciate it. Have a good weekend.